My name is Thomas Naudi, but my friends call me Noddy. And I'm second year. I'm a second-year student in BCom, and I'm studying management and marketing. And in first year, I decided to take a risk to join a student organization. And I remember there was promotions at Freshers Week, and I don't know, something hit me, and I decided to go to a conference. There were about 50 people, and I knew nobody, you know, not even my roommates, nobody. And they basically gave me a role. I started making friends, you know, and just experimenting in the organization. So I did the first year as a member. I also took a risk and went to an international conference, and I happened to be the youngest student in that conference. There were about 250 students, and it was in Nottingham in the UK. And there were, I think, 30 countries being represented, and it was fantastic. And that was the main boost I got, you know, to stay in the student organization, because it's a lot of work and it takes up a lot of time, you know, but I enjoy it so much. I'm currently team leader of business development. So we deal with partnerships and corporate incoming exchanges, as well as alumni. So we have 3 kind of subsections. We have about 10 members, so we divide each members according to those 3 departments. And I have a VP who is my superior. And I'm currently applying to be the VP now, so it's kind of a process, you know, 3 years, member, vice president, and then team leader. There's lots of competition. I mean, for conferences, each country will have a limit of people. So as a Maltese delegation, only 2 could have gone up, and about 6 applied. I don't know, they would have faith in you, you know, through the conference, the local conference. I mean, it's enthusiasm and who would best represent the country, they feel, you know, who the executive feel best represents them. So, you know, I was chosen just based on my performance at the conference, kind of thing. You know, we had games. I mean, I was put in a team and we actually won. And then at the conference, we were put into home groups of 30 members each. And I was the youngest with the least experience, you know. In my team, I had like the top person of Spain, the MCP, who is the president, you know, and they voted me to be their leader. So 30 top people, we had 13 nationalities, you know, and I was their leader. And throughout the conference, we won everything that there was to be won, you know. Like, we're in England, so we played a cricket match. We won. It was like an icebreaker. And then on the one before the last day, we had this leadership game, full day. We had about 20 different games to do. And it was a challenge for me as the leader, because I had to divide people into the different games. There were a lot of games going on at the same time, so I had to make sure everybody was busy, you know, was doing something. Everybody was having fun, and when we all had to be together, we were all together, and we actually won. And then I had to give a speech in front of the whole plenary, you know. It's my first international conference, and it was really amazing, you know, I mean. So it's a lot of exposure to different things. I mean, even just the fact of, you know, going to, for example, PwC, their main headquarters, and having a meeting with the HR manager. Yeah, you know, and for example, I was the organizing committee president of AIESEC Week, which was the largest event, and I had 3 different activities. So you get to organize things, you know, you do logistics, you do sponsorship, you do everything. When I had a team, and we would come up with everything, posters, we would get it approved by the exec, but it's up to us to do everything to finance it, you know, fundraisers and everything. And then you also get to meet different people, you know, I mean, people in different organizations, international students, like we have a person from Kuwait, Ecuador, Peru. India was the most unbelievable experience of my life. I was at an AIESEC conference, and I received a phone call from a girl who was supposed to go to India herself, and I don't know who this girl is. I have her on Facebook, and she told me, I know you're into AIESEC and you're very much into leadership and things like this. What would you think about going to India for New Year for free? So I was there for a 10-day conference. It was the organization Rotary, which is a very international organization, and it was a youth Rotarians conference, and it was very much on leadership. So I had a lot of mentors, again a big team with over 30 nationalities being represented. It was overwhelming. I mean, I met 2 Italians there, and I speak Italian, so we clicked straight away. And we were together, we had a kind of taxi, and we had a 4-hour drive, a 4 or 5 hour drive up to the mountains of Panchgani, and I must have seen over 1 million people along the way, just people everywhere. And compared to Malta, it was a culture shock, you know, and even the smell is so different, you know. It's typical India, but I'm very open about everything in any place I go, you know. Appreciate so much like everything I have. Kind of from the conference I learned that there would be about like 100 applicants to be on a team, and people tell them no, you cannot be on the AIESEC team, you know. There's like a proper interview, and in Malta it's not like that. Whoever applies gets in, no problem, you know. People actually fight for their positions, and here, I mean, the team is so small. We have about 40 members, you know. Internationally, like Portugal, for example, they have about 30 universities, and each university will have their own AIESEC. People are very hesitant, they're very focused on studying, you know. They want to come in, get their degree and leave, which is the wrong attitude, you know. It's time management, you know, and that's another skill you learn, you know. You have to learn to balance when is your AIESEC time and when is your university time. You have to be disciplined and set kind of limits, you know. Let's say 2 hours of AIESEC work a day. So there are either voluntary or corporate opportunities, and most of them are voluntary. So they would go and, for example, help children, teach them English. You know, we're very lucky since Malta has English as a main language. A lot of countries need native speakers to teach them English, even just for conversation, you know. So a lot of them go to teach English, to teach sports, I mean, even just arts and crafts, you know. But as a student, it's an amazing opportunity, and the locals, they benefit greatly, you know. No, that's the greatness of AIESEC, since it's present in 110 countries. So anywhere you go, there is always an AIESEC taking care of you. So for example, we had an incident last year in India. A girl went alone and she wasn't happy with her accommodation. It was small, it was a bit dirty. She got in contact with the local committee in India. They spoke to us about it, and they said if she wants to change her accommodation, she'll have to pay a bit extra, and the Malta committee decided to fund her because it wasn't in the agreement. She was unhappy, and you know, we try to make sure whoever goes has a life-changing experience. So there is always, she had her own buddy, you know, wherever you go. Like when they come here, we are buddies to them, so we go pick them up at the airport, we take them to their accommodation, we invite them to any meeting, any event that takes place, so they are part of the family. We had what's called a chair, who is not the organizer, but the presenter. He opens every session, introduces the speakers, and his name was Mark Hagan, and he is a top guy, ex-AIESEC, a very big man. And as soon as we arrived in Nottingham, so my first Maltese conference and my first international conference, we get out of the taxi and I see this big man running up to us. I get out of the taxi, he bear hugs me, and it happened to be Mark. He spins me around, and it was amazing, you know. I felt so at home, kind of what a small world this is. And then another experience in India, where we're at McDonald's and I had some leftover chips. So I went out with these chips, naive me, I give to a child. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, I was surrounded by over 200 children, everyone shouting, and their mothers for these chips, you know. Unbelievable. Like, you think you're doing a good deal, but in fact, you know, I mean, there's not enough for everyone. And one more thing, in India, we're in traffic, and there were these women knocking on the windows for food. And again, naive, me and these Italians, we had some food and we decided to give. And to my surprise, I gave a woman half a sandwich, and there was a kid had tiny ribs showing, you know, just with some underwear. And instead of giving the food to the kid, she walked across the street and gave it to their cow. I just didn't understand, you know. I mean, I know how important cows are, but I just couldn't understand. It didn't make sense, you know. You have your child, your offspring, a human life, you know, crying for food, and you give it to what to me is an animal, you know, a cow.